One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We talk about Kaizen and we talk about PDCA. I mean, kind of define the difference because they kind of run together, don't they?
Well, there's two types of Kaizen. Yes, they run together. I'd have to distinguish two types of Kaizen. One type of Kaizen, which is problem solving, which would be SDCA to nitpick, which is you start with the standard. The standard is already there, and your P is the fact that you're not working at standard, so you have to then do something to bring it back at standard, check that you're back at standard, and draw the conclusions of why you were not at standard. That's the problem solving part. Then there's a Kaizen, which you want to move one step forward. You want to improve. So then you would do PDCA in terms of what's your plan to improve, do something, confirm that you have improved, and draw the conclusions. So, but yeah, essentially, yeah, that's Kaizen, and PDCA is very linked. But in many cases, it can be a very active PDCA. It can be just do it PDCA. It can be, I'm a great believer in back of an envelope PDCA. See, you're in front of a cell and somebody looks at it and say, well, we could do a Kaizen or PDCA, or we could do an A3, or well, we have too many people. And I could have the kind of PDCA would say, listen, let's pull somebody out and see how the cell works. Let's write at the back of an envelope what we think, and then pull somebody out and write what happens. And then, and that would be PDCA as well. Kaizen equals PDCA. Yes, I can buy that.
I just, I've seen some different terminology, and when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about Kaizen, I'm thinking about PDCA, and I'm thinking about continuous improvement. And a lot of the names seem to blend together. And that's part, I think, of just evolvement of the methodology, that there becomes less things distinguished between them.
We have to distinguish. Kaizen is the idea that tomorrow is going to be better than today. And that it's not going to be a big step, but a small step. And then the day after tomorrow, we're going to take another small step. That's very clear. So Kaizen, tomorrow, what are you doing tomorrow? Joe, ask yourself, in what you do in marketing, what have you planned to do tomorrow that will make tomorrow better than today?
I'm probably going to edit this podcast, or this.
No, you're just doing the job. This you've already done before. What have you planned to do tomorrow that would make the way you edit this podcast better? Now that's the Kaizen question. And to be a really Kaizen question of what have you going to do tomorrow in less than 1 minute that is going to make your work better than today. Because it has to be a small step. So okay. This is very clear. Kaizen is about tomorrow I have an idea that is going to make the way I do my job better. My workstation, my cycle of work, something better than today. That's Kaizen. And the day after, I'll have another one. PDCA is the method so I don't lose myself. Once I have this Kaizen in mind, I say, okay, I'm going to do this through PDCA. I'm going to write my plan. I'm going to do it. I'm going to confirm what I've done. And I'm going to draw conclusions so I learn. So some people, you can make a Kaizen without PDCA. The chances are that you will end up with a random walk of changing things without actually improving, if you see what I mean. But there are two different concepts.
When we talk about knowledge, how do lean companies that you've worked with capture that knowledge? What mechanism do they use when you're taking, let's say, that tacit knowledge and moving to explicit? And is that standard work?
The lean companies I work with recognized from the outset that knowledge is embodied in a person. They recognize that there is no such thing as knowledge in general. So they don't so much capture knowledge as they capture the ability to communicate the knowledge. Now, let me go into a bit of a tangent here, but I think in many jobs that we have, what has happened in the latest decades is complexity. Whatever job, every company knows to do an enormous amount of things. They know how to do many, many things. But the problem is that the person you have right in front of you doesn't. They're not incompetent, they're inept. which drives you crazy. You go to the bank, and you know the company knows how to sort out your problem. You know somebody in the company knows, but the guy or the lady in front of you doesn't. And it drives you mad, yeah?
Yes.
So knowledge is captured somewhere in all the procedures. And having worked with banks, they receive hundreds of procedure modifications every week. Of course they don't read them. But the poor person in front of you doesn't. So really in a lean company, we understand this problem. And what we work at is the communication within the company so people get access to the knowledge. For me, the A3 is a communication tool more than anything else. Checklist is a communication tool. For instance, if the lady at the bank knows that when she doesn't know something, she rings her boss, I don't know how to do this. Either the boss comes and does it, and she doesn't learn, or he says, pull up your folder, read on page 14, follow that, and then I'll come and you'll tell me how it went. And then she'll learn tremendously. So, knowledge capture in a lean company comes in a form that it's not so much about capturing knowledge, but facilitating the communicating link between the person who knows and the person who doesn't.
So what we're really saying is kind of like pulling the andon cord.
That's the core of the lean culture. That's the one tool that the old man Toyota invented with his, that was the first stone of lean. And this is the one stone that is still so hard to see in companies, but that is the heart and soul of lean, is the andon cord. And in order to pull the andon cord, you have to know the standard, because if not, you don't know when to pull. In order to answer the andon call, you have to know the standard, because if not, you don't know what to tell the operator. Absolutely.
And so when we pull the andon cord, we also have to feel like, gee, I don't know that it's bad. It's got to be okay to pull the andon cord.
It's part of the secret of lean. We have this expression in lean that says not guilty, not guilty. And the manager said, but of course we know the guy drinks. Fine, not guilty. It's a very militant assumption that people are not guilty. If they're doing something strange, it's because they're in a strange situation or they've not been helped. And we need to figure out what made them do what they did. But so not guilty and no fear are absolutely essential to a lean culture, because if not, they will not pull the andon cord.
Yeah, and I think that's part of one of the problems we have in the Western culture, is that pulling the andon cord is admission that we don't know something, and that's looked at as bad.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think they got from Taishi Ono is we must reveal our mistakes. It's very painful. This is about red bins and andon cords and whatever it is. We create an environment of trust in which we reveal our mistakes, and our mistakes are not something we blame someone for, but mistakes just become interesting. And the better you are, the rarer your mistakes, the more interesting mistakes you make. And yeah, it's kind of fun. It takes some getting used to, but after a while, once you've gone over the pain threshold and you realize this is not about you, this is a way to work, then everything is a lot cooler. I mean, conflict goes down because there's no blame. You just did something fine. Let's talk it over. Let's see what happened.
Dum